Hi guys, welcome back to Steam Girls. I am Becca and I hope you had a lot of fun coding your card last week on Scratch. This week we're going to be using Scratch again to make an animation. We're going to have two characters talk about something and we're going to have two scene changes. So what that means is two characters will be talking in one location and then they'll move to a different location and have a different conversation. And you're basically going to be creating your own movie. So the first part of this project is going to be planning what the characters will say and where they'll say it. So my two characters are going to be John and Mary. They're going to be at school and John's going to invite Mary to the beach. Then Mary and John will be at the beach having fun together. Stop this video right now and come up with two characters who you want to talk to each other, what their dialogue is going to be in one location, the next location they're going to move to, and what they'll say there. And now we're going to learn how to code it. So last week we learned how to choose sprites and how to upload backdrops. What I want you to do right now is choose two sprites that you want to talk to each other, your two characters, and choose your two backdrops. Once you have your two backgrounds and your two characters selected, that's when we're going to start to get to work. What we're first going to do, basically decide where these characters are going to start off in this world that we have. I have this background of the school and I have my two characters here. Now what we did before was we dragged our sprites where we wanted them to be when they popped up on the screen. But in real life, people move around a lot, and so if you want a character to start in a certain position and move to a different position, you have to first define where you want them to begin and basically where you want them to end. And that's what we're going to do right now. So let's say that Mary here is waiting outside of school, and she's just standing there. What we're going to do is go down to events and click when the flag is clicked like we did before, because remember, we want everything to start when the flag is clicked. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go to motion, and which is up by the code bar, and we're going to click go to XY. And now what happens with go to XY is wherever your character is, if you move, like let's say I moved Mary here, now the X and Y have changed. So this, on the left hand side, it'll update anytime you move your character around on the screen, but once you actually drag it into the workspace, whatever X and Y is in that bar will stay there. Now when I click the flag, she's going to go back to where she originally was, which is the defined X and Y that I had. X is going to be the horizontal axis and Y is going to be the vertical axis. So the larger the Y, the higher up on the screen she's going to be, and the larger the X, the further right on the screen she's going to be. So now that we have Mary where she needs to be, we're going to make sure that John is also where he needs to be at the beginning of the scene. So I'm going to drag John right over here, because he's going to come in and talk to Mary. So, just like with Mary, we're going to have him start at a specific X and Y location. So again, we're going to go down to when the flag is clicked, and go to XY. So before you drag in go to XY, make sure your characters are where you want them to start the scene. So now that we have him here, what we want him to do is walk up to Mary. So let's drag him to where we want him to stop, which is right next to Mary before he starts talking to her. So what you'll see now is on the left-hand side, all the numbers have updated again. What we're going to choose is glide 1 second to XY, which is again in motion. A lot of what we're doing right now is going to be in motion. So now if I click on the flag, what I'll see is that he'll start the scene where we dragged him the first place, and he'll glide to the second place we dragged him. So it looks like he's walking in to talk to his friend. Now, what should we have him say? What we're going to do now is learn about talking in Scratch. If you go to the left-hand side, right under motion, we have looks. And if you click say hello for 2 seconds, and you drag that underneath the block of code we already have for John, what you'll see is when we click the flag, he's going to walk over now, and he's going to say hello. And the speech bubble will actually appear on screen. So, we're going to change that to, hi Mary. I think I'm going to have him say hi Mary for 1.5 seconds. Last week what we did was we set increments of time for each character to do their action. This week what we're going to do is we're going to have it be a relationship. So I'm going to show you how, without having to keep track of all the times, we can make Mary respond to John's statement. What you're going to do is you're going to go down to events, and you're going to go right here and select broadcast message 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change message 1 inside the broadcast block. And I'm going to click on that, the little arrow, and I'm going to click new message. And I'm going to type in, hi Mary. So what this message is it's a signal that's being sent out to all the sprites. So any sprite that's in our project will have received the message, "Hi Mary." Now we can have events that are not just triggered when the flag is clicked, but when other sprites cause them. So if you click inside Mary's code block, what we can do now is say, when I receive "Hi Mary," which is also in the Events tab, she's going to go back and respond, "Hi John." And now after she says "Hi John," she's going to invite him to the beach. She's going to say, "Have you been to the beach this week?" for 2 seconds. And now let's watch what we have so far. And just like that, we have the first part of our animation done. And what you'll notice is we didn't have to keep track of everything this time because our messages keep track of them for us. What this does is it basically signals to these sprites that you aren't supposed to start a certain action until a message is received. So now what we're going to have Mary do is actually broadcast her own message. She's going to broadcast, "Have you been to the beach?" And you can name your messages anything, but for keeping track of the dialogue, it might help to name them the previous line that was said. And so now when John receives, "Have you been to the beach?" he's going to say, "No, I haven't. Do you want to go?" He's going to broadcast the message, "Do you want to go?" For your own animation, you can choose any dialogue you want, and you can change the messages, and you can change what you're going to broadcast. I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll talk about how to change scenes. So now let's look at how far we've come already. So she just invited John to the beach, and now they have to actually go because they've made a commitment. Now remember, you've chosen 2 backgrounds, and if you forgot where the backgrounds are, go to Stage, and then go to Backdrops, and you can see your backgrounds here. And so before starting, I selected the school background and I selected the beach background. But I want my project to start at school and then change to the beach. And just like before, since we're changing backgrounds, I have to define which one I want my scene to start in. So when the flag is clicked, I want my background to be at school. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to click when the flag is clicked, because that's how we start everything in our projects. And then in looks, I'm going to do switch backdrop to school. And then when do I want it to switch to the beach? It'll be when they leave to go. So now that Mary has accepted John's invitation, we want them to exit off screen, and then we want the screen to switch to the beach. How we're going to do that is we're going to, after Mary accepts and says yes right here, I'm going to broadcast a message. The message I'm going to do this time is "Go to the beach." And so now that they have the "Go to the beach" message, what they're going to do is walk off screen, and then the beach will change. So I'm going to broadcast a message called "Go to the beach" after Mary accepts the invitation. And what this will do is it'll let John know that they're going to leave. So I'm going to drag them to where I want them to exit to, which is over here. So I'm going to have Mary glide there, which is the block we learned before. And I'm going to have John glide there too. So now I want them both to disappear because they've left the scene. I'll go into looks, and just like last week, I'll click hide, and I'll put that right under there. And I'll put hide after Mary glides too. And remember, since both of these characters are hiding in the scene, we need to make sure that at the beginning we have both of them show. So while you're there, click show and drag that under when the flag's clicked for both characters. Let's just watch what happened so far. And now they've entered and exited a scene, and it looks pretty professional, like an actual animation, huh? So now what we want to do is we want them to actually go to the beach. The school should change to the beach after both of them leave. So only one of them needs to broadcast the message that it's time to change to the beach. And then the background will receive that message and know when to change. So the new message will be beach scene. And if you click on stage, and you click when I receive beach scene, and you go into looks, you can switch backdrop to beach Malibu. And what that'll do is after the two have their conversation and they leave, that'll trigger the backdrop to switch from school to beach.
Next.
What we're going to do is we're going to have them hide, and then we're going to have them wait 1 second, which is a command we used last week if you remember. And then we're going to have them show up at the beach. So if you drag wait 1 second under hide and under broadcast beach scene for whichever sprite you put your broadcast under, they'll wait 1 second, and then what we want them to do is show up in a specific location. So go to looks and drag show to under wait 1 second for both characters, and then choose the location that you want them to arrive at. So I think it would be nice if they appear towards the edge of the screen and then walk over. So what I want them to do after waiting 1 second is to show up and glide to a specific location. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to have them glide to about the middle of the screen, which would be 15, -15. So 15x, -15y. You don't want them to overlap on top of each other. And the other one will show up at 80 and -20. And that should put them roughly in the middle of the screen. And so if you want to see the transition, we can just watch that really quickly. After they arrive to their location, I'm just going to have John say, "Wow, it's so pretty today." And that'll be the end of our animation. And I know this seems like a short animation, but the reason why I'm doing it like this is because this project is supposed to be one where you sort of create everything. You don't necessarily have to follow along exactly like we did last time. I want you to be able to create your own dialogue and to create your own characters interacting with each other and to create your own story. It doesn't just have to be 2 scenes. This is just the beginning of what you can do. And I'm really excited to see the different projects you make. Let's watch our animation over together once. So let's review what we learned. We learned about how to signal to different sprites that something's about to happen, how to broadcast messages, and how to change background locations based on what happens in your project rather than just when the flag's clicked. We also learned about motion and how to move characters. We also learned about dialogue patterns too. If you have any questions, be sure to comment them below or come to the Zoom meeting this week. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm so excited to see the different projects you made.